Hi, welcome back to this week's episode of our daily video podcast. In today's session, we dove deep into three crucial stages of the sales process: qualifying, needs assessment, and presenting. And they are all right here on the board. And let's recap the key points we covered.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, the recap of the week, and we're going to start off where we started the beginning of the week with the qualifying stage. So, the qualifying stage, we are assessing the prospect's needs, budget, authority, and timeline to determine if they are a qualified lead. So, our key objectives: determine their interest, pain points, budget, decision-making authority. Remember, we want to make sure that we're talking to the right people or person. And if somebody is missing, get them in the process as soon as possible. And their timeline. Is this something they're looking to do now? Or is this something that they're looking to do later on down the road? You know, let me just point out, maybe we didn't say this earlier in the week, but that is key for your funnel and your funnel's health. So knowing that somebody has pain, knowing that they want to make some changes, but let's say they're in a contract or it's something that they want to do in Q4. That's going to help you stay sane in your sales funnel by knowing what that actual timeline is so that you're not thinking it's something closing in the next 30 days. Okay. So again, the criteria here: budget, authority, need, and timeline. We talked about that. That was BANT, B-A-N-T. Budget, authority, need, and timeline. Write that down. Those are four key factors in this process. So we talked about the tools and the technique. Use the BANT framework, conduct thorough research, ask open questions. The outcome really here is just basically to identify if they are a qualified lead that you want to invest more time in to pursue further. Any feedback on that?
No, I would say you went over everything for the qualifying stage. The next stage is going to be the needs assessment stage. So introduction and rapport building is going to be the first step in the needs assessment stage. Then you're going to want to ask a list of open-ended questions. You're going to want to encourage the prospect that you're talking to express their needs and any challenges that they may have or that the company may have. Then you want to make sure at all times that you are active listening. Pay attention to any verbal cues or body language that they're showing you so that you're able to adapt and kind of, work your way around that. Then you're going to want to probe for details. So you're going to want to dive deeper into vague responses that they give you to uncover pain points and any goals that they may have that they haven't already told you about. After that, you're going to want to identify those pain points and challenges. Focus on understanding the specific issues and their impact that they may have on that person or their company. Explore their goals and objectives. Discuss prospects' aspirations and success metrics for their company. Summarize and confirm. Recap key points and confirm your understanding of what that client or prospect has just told you, and then document and analyze. Take detailed notes for tailored solutions so that when it comes to presenting, you are able to present exactly what they had talked about.
This is really your opportunity. This is your they talk about first impressions are everything, right? So you may have that first impression from the qualifying stage, but now you're in that needs assessment. This is really your opportunity to dig deep into what the customer's needs are. How are you going to fulfill those needs and put together a proper proposal to really take care of that customer? So this is a super important stage. It really shows what level of a professional you are in the sales process, because the better job you do here, the easier your job you're going to have in the presentation and moving into the close. And moving into that, we then covered the presentation stage, right? So you're preparing, you're understanding the customer's needs and tailoring your presentation to that customer. Everybody is different. So your presentation may have some very specific structure in the way you like to do it, but the way that you present it to that customer, You're going to be able to reference those notes, and you're going to be able to present it to them in a way that they're going to be most receptive. Introduction. Remember, when you come in, even though it's that second meeting, right, and you're here to propose, you still want to be able to introduce properly. You want to open up the conversation, get a little bit of a flow going before you really dive into it. Highlight the benefits. Emphasize key benefits addressing the customer's pain points. Demonstrations. Provide examples to illustrate product features. So again, we talk about having brochures, handouts.
Yep.
In my case, I've got a phone that I can put out there and let them play with. Maybe you have a software interface that you let them play with and see.
In my case, it would be taking them to the neighbor's house that we had just completed.
Yep, absolutely. Showing your work off. Customization. You want to remember, adapt the presentation based on the customer feedback. So based on that initial meeting, you've got to customize to them. But also during the meeting, you want to be able to pick up on those cues. Those cues, is the person receptive to it? Are they losing interest? Adapt in the moment. And then your closing. You want to seek for commitment and offer incentives if needed. This is the time where we talk about you have to ask for the business at some point. 99 times out of 100, they're not just going to say, give me the paper. You're going to have to ask for that business. So that's when you want to do that. And then follow up. Answer any questions and provide additional information after the presentation. So those first 3 steps, right? Qualifying stage, the needs assessment, and the presenting stage. I know for me this week, this has been a good exercise to really go through these things. You know them in your head, you've done them, but really rehashing and going through this is really, really healthy for you to improve. Would you agree?
I do. Anytime you teach, you're learning.
Anytime you teach, anytime you're practicing, right? We should be, this is like any other skill. You need to be practicing on a daily basis. Pick this stuff up, look at it, go through it, remind yourself so that it's automatic. The better you can get at doing this, the more automatic it can be when you're in the moment, the better results you're going to have.
And then there is another thing that we actually were talking about yesterday is having a list in front of you is very helpful, so you don't miss any portions of your pitch or needs assessment or whatever that is. Having that in front of you will help you to be very thorough in the process, not forget anything. And the customers do like, especially the ladies, guys. Yeah, they do like the thorough,
Yeah, I think that we did talk about it, and there is nothing wrong with having a cheat sheet. Have yourself a folder or a binder or something that you can open up, and you print this off, and it reminds you to go through these stages.
Yes.
And it's going to help you through the process, and just refine it, right? And you may be able to take notes where maybe you make a mistake or something doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. Well, write that note down. That's going to give you the opportunity to go back afterwards and then refine that part of the process.
That's right.
Yeah. Isaiah, anything?
I don't have much. No,
Okay.
I don't. I would stress, the only thing I would stress that I stressed yesterday would be the active listening. Just because I know for me, going door to door, active listening is probably the biggest thing. And the sooner I can show that I am listening to the customer and not just trying to push a product or a service in their face and take their money, the better chance I have at closing deals on the spot.
Yeah, that active listening is huge. We talked about it. It is a way for you to stay in control of the conversation while allowing the client or the prospect or the person you just met to feel like they're the ones actually in control seat, right? Asking good questions and then allowing the prospect to answer those questions and really paying attention. And like you said, active listening, what that means is you ask a question, in your mind, you have a certain idea of what you think the response is going to be.
Yep.
So you're already kind of in your own mind thinking, well, I know this is going to go this way because this is the way I set the question up. Listen, though, because that doesn't always go that way. Think about it in your personal life, in your friendships, whatever you do. You ask a question, you're not always getting back what you think. So you need to be able to adjust on the fly.
And with you, I was actually thinking about it last night, was throughout your process, you've got a couple of chances. Let's say if you don't do active listening, if you don't do active listening from the start, you've got a few more chances to start active listening. Mine is a little more crucial just because, again, it's all on the spot. It's a one-time type of thing until the next time I go through that route again. So if you are a door-to-door salesman, just know that you got to be active listening from the start, from the get-go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and something I'll just say this here in the qualifying stage, right, with the active listening. Listen, if you're doing a process where you're going through a list or you're going through a neighborhood and you're really going through that process of sales, that's not the first time, isn't the only time you're going to talk to that person.
Right.
You're going to go back through, take your notes, actively listen, so that when you come back, what I have noticed is if I can call somebody back and say, hey, Jim, last time we talked, hey, Jim, this is Jason. It's a sales call. Did I catch you at a bad time? No, what is it? A sales call. First of all, they never remember you, okay? They never remember you right off the bat. So they're busy. Maybe you called 3 months ago. They didn't remember a sales call from 3 months ago, more than likely. If you're able to come back and give something specific, hey, we talked about last time you guys were having a ransomware attack. You were in the middle of it. You were cleaning things up, but you said, give me a call back in a couple months. Once I have this situated, there are some things I want to talk to you about, X, Y, and Z. If you can bring that back, all of a sudden that person's memory comes back and they remember exactly what they were talking about.
and first impressions are also a very big thing. Don't just because a lot of people that you talk to don't remember your name doesn't mean you shouldn't go into every call or every door knocked, wanting to be remembered. Every door that I knock, I try to make an impression. So in the case that I don't close them, the next time I go through 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, they're like, oh yeah, I remember you. So
yeah, absolutely. So next week we'll dive deeper into maybe some active listening type exercises. I think we should look at objection handling.
correct. I think that's what they want to see the most is probably the objection handling.
That's
So,
always fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to jump back into the video that we've been watching this week about communication with Jim Rohn, and then give a little comment on a bit or two. So we'll listen to a couple of minutes of that, and then we'll come back and we'll close things up for the week. All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Not a test of truth. In your study and evaluating everything, just make sure you have that in the back of your mind. Sincerity is not a test of truth. We must not make the mistake of saying he must be right. He's so sincere. See, that might be a mistake. Why is that? Here's why.
You want to know the key to fixing and flipping? Don't fix and flip. Instead, be.
It's possible to be
Sorry.
sincerely wrong. So sincerity is not a test of truth. Here's the only test of truth. Truth. Truth is the only test of truth, not sincerity. We hope someone will be both truthful and sincere, but we don't mistake sincerity for truth. Next is vocabulary. The better your vocabulary, the better you can share ideas that are meaningful. Find words now to use that you couldn't use before. Interesting story on vocabulary. Some friends of mine took a survey among prisoners many, many years ago. Some rehabilitation program they were working on for prisoners. They weren't looking for this, but here's what they found. There's definitely a connection between vocabulary and behavior. And here's what they discovered. The more limited the vocabulary, the more tendency to poor behavior. Isn't that interesting? And when you think about it for a while, you can say, well, I can see where that would be. If you were very limited in your ability to comprehend because you had such a small vocabulary, that no matter what someone said, it would still be confusing. No matter what they said, it still might not make sense. They said it clear, but you couldn't see it. And sometimes that's because the vocabulary is so limited that it doesn't have the ability to register the scene on the screen of your consciousness. Here's the fourth step to good communication. Intensity, the spirit, power, emotion with which you translate your communication. Intensity gives power to vocabulary. Words are just words, but here's what's powerful. Words loaded with emotion. See, that's what's powerful. Say, is the word powerful? Yes, the word's powerful, but the emotion is so much more. It's different reading the word bastard in the dictionary and have somebody call you. If a word is a word, say no, a word just isn't a word. It all depends, right? It depends. So emotion is like, if I took a little straight pin, right? Guy buys a shirt, it's got all these pins in it, right? You got to take out all these pins. If I took one of these little straight pins and I threw it at you, and it hit you in the face or the hands, you'd feel it, this little straight pin. But what if I took that little straight pin and wired it to the end of an iron bar about this? See? And I let you have it with that, I could drive the pin through your heart. So the little pin is the words and the iron bar is the emotion that give the words power, that gives the words weight, that makes it strike the consciousness. And your words can become so powerful, it can strike somebody's consciousness and they say, oh, wow, now I know what I did wrong. Now I understand the difficulty. Now I can see. And words can become that powerful that they strike the heart, they strike the mind, they strike the consciousness so that somebody can see. So since words are that powerful mixed with emotion, here's what's important. Next line, learn to measure your emotion. You got to use it very wisely. Well-chosen words, yes. But now we need measured emotion and well-chosen. But words loaded with emotion, it's so powerful. You got to measure. Too much firepower destroys the opportunity. We say we don't shoot a cannon at a rabbit. That's too much firepower. It's effective, but you got no more rabbit. One of my colleagues years ago said, you should have been there, Jim Rohn, but listen to my talk. He said, I blew them all away. I said, oh no, where are they now? You blew them all away? That's too much. You don't need to blow everybody away. We're talking now about being effective. Here's the key, enough emotion. Now the men have to work on enough, and probably the female side has to work on a bit of restraint. The men, a bit more, enough, and the women, not too much. And we all have to measure that, whether it's in our business, whether it's in sales, or whether it's speaking to a child, enough but not too much. I mean, this, you can't believe what a little bit of course on this stuff will do in helping you to sense.
We'll jump back in. I really like that part.
I will do.
All right, so this is a good one, right? It's probably a good one to re-listen to and really, understand it in depth. Anything off the top here from you that you picked up there?
Yes, definitely. So, like he said, vocabulary, words are important. But, one thing that, he didn't say that, my mom used to say, and I'm sure that everyone here have heard it before, is words that you say you can take back. So, be mindful of, the words that you use, not only the words that you use, the vocabulary that you're using, but, controlling, that's part of controlling emotions like he was talking about at the end.
Yeah.
Right? Not being so emotional, more rational, and, the message will come through.
Isaiah, anything?
I was gonna. Yes, I had some words of my own actually. Something that I had heard yesterday was someone who's willing to sacrifice nothing cannot change anything. I think that kind of plays into this video a little bit. You want to be taken more seriously. You want to have better communication with people. You have to understand that your vocabulary and your speech or your level of speech can't be down here. You've got to grow over time. And I think as you improve on speech and your vocabulary, you start being able to be taken more seriously, but also talking to people at some higher up levels, I would say.
Yeah, I think obviously the better your vocabulary, the better you're going to communicate. What I like to is that the emotion is what gives the words their power. And he's right. I mean, if you're making a call or you're doing a presentation and you're talking like this and you're down and all that kind of thing, that's going to bring the whole energy of the room down. And it's not going to, really pull out what you need. It's not going to present well. But at the same time, if you're like super overboard and crazy and really emotional, that can put people off as well. I mean, you can have the opposite effect where people are like, either this guy's really dull and they're not interested, or oh my gosh, this guy is way too much. So finding that happy medium where you're really able to express yourself powerfully, using that emotion, using your vocabulary is really that's an art in itself. That's a skill in itself.
I was going to say, it's just like asking questions. You don't want to ask questions constantly all the time. You want to take a little bit, but you also want to give a little bit. It's the same thing with putting emphasis on certain words. You don't want to emphasize every single word, because then, again, people are like, man, this dude is on crack. So you want to know when to emphasize what words in order to give power and what would you say?
Power
Like
and authority and confidence
authority.
to your words.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
All right, well,
All
cool.
right.
Well, that's
so that's all I got.
So
yeah.
that's all we got. As we wrap up today's episode, remember the importance of these stages in the sales process. So we have qualifying, needs assessment, and presenting. And whether you are qualifying leads, conducting needs assessment, or delivering compelling presentations, each step is crucial or plays a crucial role in driving successful outcomes. So implement these strengths in your sales efforts and watch your results soar. Thanks for watching today and joining us. Stay tuned for more.
We'll see you
Until
next
next
week.
time.
Next week.
See
All
you
right.
next time.
Take care.